All right, well, good morning. It's always good to see who actually shows up for the first session of the conference. As she said, my name is Mike Nee. I'm honored to be here to not only share with you some of our thoughts on reactivation of latent affiliates, but also, like we were saying, to be a kickoff session here for the Affiliate Summit. That said, just a little bit of background on myself so you have a feel for the context of where my perspective is coming from. I head up products and marketing for Avangate. We are an e-commerce platform as well as a niche affiliate network for the digital goods industry. We have thousands of publishers, tens of thousands of products, and over 33,000 affiliates in our network. And it's from these conversations, especially over the last year, with our customers that have brought a lot of focus in on this question of latent affiliates. It's interesting. When you look at the last couple of years, the commoditization of products and services has gotten very aggressive out there. And so the question has become, how do you protect future revenue growth? How do you protect your distribution, whether it's resellers or affiliates? And how do you keep them active within your network proactively or reactively? How do you reactivate these guys? And that's really the basis of the conversation today, right? As per the description, this actual presentation is focused on those who are still learning to grow their affiliate networks as well as the intermediate level to give you a refresher, if so, around some of the key areas and ideas around tactics to grow your affiliate network. So my ultimate objective is to add at least one or two arrows to your quiver around how to engage your affiliates at a deeper level, right? Whether it's case studies or tactics. The agenda for today, will give you a couple facts and figures about what drives our perspective on the affiliate marketing side and get the brain thinking a little bit, and then do a dive into the mind of the affiliate side. Look, a little bit back to basics around what motivated them in the first place, but then start getting into what are the reasons for why they go latent, right? And then where to focus your time and attention. And we'll spend the bulk of the time really on 5 approaches, things that we've seen in our experience over the last decade or so in this business that have really worked to drive affiliate engagement and some case studies around that. One thing I would say is this audience probably has a variety of great ideas as well, and I'm looking forward to, in the Q&A session, to hearing some of your thoughts about what may have worked for you guys as well. That said, to get started, I just want to get a quick feel for who you are so I can actually direct the presentation a little better. Just by a show of hands, how many of you are merchants still looking just to grow, just starting on your affiliate network path? All right. About 20–25% of you. How many of you are merchants that are trying to grow, your active affiliates? So the first one was really around, just starting. How many of you actually have an established network and are really looking to actively grow that network? So about 50–60% of you. How many of you are agencies or affiliates just looking to see what to ask from merchants to become more active? Interesting. So about 10% of you. I figured just by the title of the presentation, we probably end up with a lot more publishers and merchants on this side. But that's good information. Now, just as a quick starter, I'm sure many of you, like I, read constantly. And one of the things that always strikes me is, am I actually doing enough to use the affiliate, or even to use affiliate networks, to help our customers use the affiliate networks. And this one article caught my eye from a Forrester, which said that affiliate programs are now the 3rd largest from a marketing spend perspective, behind PPC and email. In fact, in 2012, they just came out with research around the rapid growth of the affiliate network. Already, just from a U.S. perspective, spend in 2012, they're estimating it's around $2.5 billion already of spend for affiliate networks. And frankly, when you look at the growth numbers, they're expecting by 2016 this number to reach about $4.5 billion just in the U.S. Affiliate marketing spend. And that is a growth of over 70% a year, a tremendous growth rate. And it's a tremendous growth rate considering that we've had all these negatives hit the industry as well, whether it's Nexus, whether it's Panda and Penguin, whether there are other legislation just on the pipe continue to put pressure on this industry. And it does strike us that many companies still keep their affiliate programs on the slow track. And it raises that question for yourself as well as potentially your boss if we're talking about marketing spend around how do you take better advantage of this rise in affiliate marketing, in the affiliate marketing market. Too often, I come from a consumer packaged goods background, and I've done marketing in a variety of different industries. And too often, still today, I see performance marketing actually relegated to sort of second-class citizen, even as much as the numbers are proving out the benefits of it. And so, as part of the kickoff of this conversation, I want to throw a couple facts onto the table to give us a little ammunition to go back and give us a little bit of fortitude as well as ammunition to take up to our boss around how to of why we should be spending more on performance marketing and put this turtle on the fast track. Just a couple data points. Many of you guys may actually have seen these things before. From the affiliate benchmark survey, merchants on average see around 23% of their total online sales actually coming from affiliates. That's a very large number for an industry that's still relatively new. For us, when we look across our network, and we're in digital goods industry, a little newer to affiliates, our numbers kind of collaborate that number, where we're seeing around 12 to 15% on average for those using the affiliate network, driving about 12 to 15% of their revenue through affiliate marketing. And of course, we have numbers all the way up to 75% and a long tail of merchants who are currently just starting in affiliates. But again, fairly large numbers that really showcase just how much of this industry is having an impact on the industry. In fact, Rebecca Madigan from the PMA at AM Days back in San Francisco brought up a really interesting source. How many of you guys actually have read or seen Google's ZMOT book? Wow. Actually, let me just give you a quick heads up on that, because I think it's actually a very interesting resource. Google did a research based upon all the data they have, which is tremendous, around how buying behavior has actually changed from a consumer standpoint. And there's a lot of really interesting factoids in there about how this has changed the research, the discovery process, and these are factoids that I think many of you can use with your customers, et cetera, to talk to the importance of the online channel and where performance marketing sits. But one of the things that stands out for me was that the average shopper uses more than 10 sources to make a buying decision. And depending on the industry, of course, this changes a little bit. But the amount of research that people are doing, they're no longer going to the store, right? They're actually doing much more research online, is obvious at this point in time. But this has shifted, where you hear terms like marketing is the new sales. People are doing much more online, and that hits to the second point that came from Jupiter Research, which is consumers that are shopping via affiliates or come in through affiliates are likely to spend or likely to convert at 43% more likely to convert and spend actually $7 more per order. And I actually think this is all reflective of what's going on as they come through affiliates. You actually have affiliates doing much more of the education, right? People are coming in much more ready to make that buying decision and actually understand more of the solution, so they know what other add-ons and other features, other pieces that they need to buy alongside. And this is just, again, reflective of how important this industry is not only now today, but going to become as more and more of customers buy online. And it is this audience, people who understand performance marketing, who are going to be able to benefit and leverage these changes. Now, one last piece here from Jay, who I believe is speaking tomorrow. Usually 10% of affiliates generate over 90% of sales. And that is absolutely true in our networks as well. I think personally it is partially because this maturity of the industry is still growing, where you're going to get back towards more 80-20. But in the short term, we still have larger affiliates, those who actually are building their business here, still driving a majority of the revenue. And that actually only makes this conversation we're having here more important. How do you keep those key affiliates active? How do you keep them engaged proactively? And if you are starting to lose them, how do you re-engage them? How do you take some of the techniques you used to attract them in the first place and twist that to re-engage them? So assuming that you already have the affiliates, keeping them is key. Just a couple thoughts on this, and some of this is probably fairly obvious to you guys, but number one, it just saves you a tremendous amount of time. You already know these guys, right? You know how they sell. You know what products they sell. And it just saves you time in terms of re-engaging, right? And ultimately, it is more profitable. When you look at the costs, not only in terms of acquisition and education, setting up the systems for those affiliates, but it's also your time, right? Getting to build that relationship. The ability to get to revenue very quickly with an affiliate who already understands your business is just much more profitable, right? You just get past that learning period of your customer, of the affiliate itself. In fact, there are a lot of analogies in the consumer world. Let me just throw a couple of factoids at you. In a research that was done back by McKinsey, if you have just in the end consumer world, if you have 5% increase in retention, that leads to an over 25 to 85% increase in profitability. That number drops right down to the bottom line. It's because the fact is that it's 3 to 10 times less costly or more costly, or less costly, I'm sorry, than acquiring new customers, right? And this is where a company typically will receive about 65% of its business, 90-10, right, from existing customers. And again, the analogies are all there. The costs that you avoid by trying to find new affiliates versus keeping and re-engaging your affiliates is just a much more profitable exercise. And it gets back again to just being easier. You already know what they intend. Because when you look at how to re-engage with these guys, a lot of it is actually going to be how do you connect with your top selling affiliates? How do you actually customize and personalize these things with them? And to actually understand each other enough to understand what they sell, what other products they sell, what skills they have, and what strengths they bring to the table is actually an investment on your part as well. And again, assuming you have them, reactivation and proactively keeping them active is fundamental part of the strategy. Now, given that this is New York and that we are talking about taking versus holding, I was going to ask you guys to indulge me in a second in one of my favorite video clips from Seinfeld.
Next, please. Go. Can I help you? Name, please.
Seinfeld. You made a reservation for a mid-size, and she's a small. I'm kidding around, of course.
Yes. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. We have no mid-size available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservations.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
Here we go.
All right, thanks for indulging me a little bit. Come on, this is New York, a little Seinfeld, a little bit of that New York attitude is important to bring to the conversation. Excellent. And now that we're motivated to hold onto our key affiliates, it gets back to basics. Let's get back into the mind of the affiliate for a second and remind ourselves a little bit of what were the key drivers of why affiliates were signing up to promote your product. And what I did was I compared a little bit of our own internal surveys with what came out from affiliate benchmarks back in 2011. And you see, at the end of the day, the top ones that far outweigh the rest is just show me the money, right? And it's not surprising to anyone in the room where it's the payouts, the ability, the marketing pull from the product and the brand itself, right? The conversion rate stats. I mean, these are the basics of it. But I did want to bring this back to your attention as you look at some of the other pieces here that are important to affiliates, right? especially in our industry, and I know that I've spoken with others also in other industries, subscription models and other payment models, not just pay per sale per lead, but things like recurring revenue opportunities are actually starting to become interesting to affiliates. Just a quick note on that is that even as much as affiliates would like to build a book of business and become more like a vendor, right? Because if they actually do have a recurring revenue model, share in that subscription, now they have a book of business that builds over time, almost like a mortgage broker, insurance broker type, agent type of model, right? At the same time, these guys are needing to upfront most of the money because they're doing that selling process. And so, having a model out there that has, heavier amount on the finder's fee, some tail that helps them build up a book of business, that frankly, as your businesses start becoming more subscription-oriented, become interesting as well. Why? Because now they're keeping up with your updates. They're starting to write more about it. They're starting to promote those type of things as well, which leads to your retention. That leads to your ability to protect your future revenue growth as you may be thinking about subscription revenues as well. And frankly, of course, is the bottom one, which is relationships. It's very subjective, but people liking you is a huge part to play in this retention piece of it. So, of course, you need a vehicle to carry those conversations, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So reactivating, again, starts with knowing, what were some of the drivers for why affiliates may have left you in the first place. And, some of these things are basic, but I just wanted to, again, refresh our minds as we get into some of the tactics here around how we reactivate these guys. Of course, first and foremost that we always see is they've shifted, right? Obviously, people out there are competing with terms and conditions. There is the brand and conversion numbers out there. But frankly, the one thing I do want to just remind everyone is just understand where you are from a price and quality and brand perspective, right? Too often, we've dealt with customers who are positioning themselves maybe as a premium brand, and they really are secondary to the market, and they have to build up their awareness with the affiliates out there. They need to be able to provide better returns as these affiliates build up business around you. And so you always have to take a look at that question. That of course, is a whole nother talk that we're not going to go through today, but it is a question you guys have to constantly think about, how you match that price and positioning standpoint. But one thing to also think about is as you release new products, sometimes the affiliates just have a slow ramp up. What is that learning period? Did you provide the education and tools out there to get them going? And frankly, we've actually seen in our top affiliates, as well as across our affiliate network, the impact of the Google changes. Even in our top affiliates, the need to shift away from some of the SEO tactics that they used, whether it was some of the keyword work, the hidden text pieces. I mean, there's obviously a lot of work that people did to drive acquisition. These have absolutely affected and may have shifted certain affiliates that you had before. It's just something to try to look for and say, okay, is this still an affiliate we want to work with? And fundamentally, affiliates are entrepreneurs. They may have shifted to other lines of business, or if they're just not having the core tools to be able to convert, to drive across the acquisition and conversion aspects of this, right? And again, these are just the top ones, fairly straightforward, but I did want to give you just a reminder to think about some of the drivers that we've seen for why affiliates become latent. And when we say latent, we actually assume around an 80% drop in sales starts becoming latent. But when you look at numbers, one of the most important things is to try to catch the affiliates before they become latent. How do you become? Obviously you're going to be proactive with your program, but what are the metrics that you can start putting in place that allow you to track what's happening in your affiliate network? And these, of course, sales and leads drop. That's obvious. But when we look at best practices around this, it's more around how do you monitor this and set up some of the automatic notifications, right? Are there 3 periods of consecutive drops? That's an alert, right? Is there more than a 25% drop in one period? That's an alert, right? How do you set up, and these will be specific to your industry, how do you set up for specific metrics that allow you to be able to monitor on a proactive basis what's going on, especially in your top affiliates, right? And that's key, right? If you can catch them before they become latent, that's a far easier catch. But that said, there's obviously a variety of other KPIs or key performance indicators that you can be looking at. If you have tiers, are they dropping down tiers? Are they relatively selling less than their peers? Everyone's growing and they're just growing less. Is that a warning sign, right? Conversion rates. Have they just started milking your products at this point in time and not investing and continuing to optimize your site? So again, just warning signs that you can start looking at about when you want to pay more attention. And of course, time is one of the most precious resources you guys have in terms of your investment, right? But that said, when I'm asked about reactivating affiliates, they ask, okay, where should we start? And unfortunately, I always come back with, well, it depends, right? I'm a bit of a visual guy, so I usually just lay it out in a quick chart, which is how much effort do I have to put into it, and what would be the revenue impact across the bottom? How much impact will they have? And frankly, when you look at activating or engaging with your affiliates, I always look at, okay, what was easy especially if you're just starting. And coupon sites, price comparison sites, these guys are easy to get going, right? You can move these guys pretty quickly. It's an interesting place to start, even as much as you're investing in some of those who take a little longer to get going. But if you have an ongoing set of affiliate sales, right, now you have this the cash flow that allows you to start reinvesting in guys who may have gone more latent. Some of the guys like a local affiliate, right? Someone who's taken you into a new market like Brazil, who's actually able to open that market, but took a lot of effort to get them there. And the question here, when you talk about reinvesting in these guys, it's about how much return on investment are you going to get? And it gets back to that what we said before. You've already suffered the costs of educating these guys. You've already gotten them into the systems. So the incremental investments to get the local affiliates actually re-engaged, right? To get the content guys to understand your latest set of products are fundamentally very high return on investment type of things you can do. They do take time, and they do force a level of engagement of your time to craft specific programs with them that we'll get into. But again, just a way that I typically segment how I look at and how I recommend people focus their energies depending on their current situation. So when you start looking at folks who have left you, there's always a question of what you do with them. And no, shooting them is not an option in terms of those affiliates. And as I was speaking with some of the folks earlier, key to any strategy here is around communication, whether it's online, whether it's via phone, and this is not surprising, right? Obviously, this has to be balanced. We've seen, I'm sure we've all seen the surveys that say affiliates hate to be connected with on phone all the time. But it all depends on the level of engagement you have with them, and how did you get that information? How much are they willing to invest in you? So that said, let's shift over to really where we can talk about some of the approaches to reactivating affiliates. And some of these, no doubt, you guys are already using. A lot of these are just good hygiene, things that you should be doing to keep your affiliates engaged. Whether it's incentivizing individual or smaller marketing actions, and we'll get into what that means. But how do you lower the bar for them to actually engage with you? How do you use the time-tested method of performance incentives to, again, re-engage? Of course, you're setting tiers up and trying to make sure everyone moves to the highest tiers, but how can you, what type of programs can you put together around this to go back after affiliates who may have gone idle? And of course, core to a lot of these discussions you're going to have is what kind of exclusive conditions can you put together, and we'll push into some of that, all the way through to the type of tools that you can provide for them, as well as just how do you get them engaged deeper with your latest products. Whether it's around free stuff, giveaways, etc. What are the types of tools you can use there? So let's go ahead and jump into the first, which is incentivize actions, and this is one which is a pretty innovative approach. I don't see a lot of merchants using this yet, but it's actually been pretty successful in terms of opening up many conversations. Again, this is an approach that I've seen that just, again, structures it so that affiliates will engage quicker and deeper with the merchants. In this case, how it works is that the merchant will create a structure that pays out a percentage for different marketing steps. And these things could be like just listing your products on their website, right? That's a certain percentage bonus on top of their commissions. Is it using your optimized landing pages, etc. Again, all these things are about engaging that next step, taking incremental steps to get a little more information and dialogue between you and the affiliate, right? Incentivizing feedback is also another step I've seen more broadly used, right? Giving them an extra 5% if they're able to provide you feedback on your products, right? And it's not just about the feedback, which is really interesting. Obviously, the customer feedback from a broader set of customers is always very interesting. But at the same time, the affiliate actually learns more about you. They see that what their customers are thinking about your product. They actually have more content that they can use even as they pass that feedback to you and engage at a higher level of compensation. And of course, all of these things, and you'll see a common thread here across all these tactics, is that you want to reward those who are willing to commit to you, right? When you look at incentivizing these actions, this, again, is an approach to create a conversation. Let me get into that when I talk about the example here, because they used it very well, both in driving affiliates as well as to re-engage with affiliates. So VSO, just as a quick case study here, they're formed in 2002. Some of you may know Fabrice. He's a common figure here at the Affiliate Summit. This is one of his programs he started a couple years ago. And used it to much success to drive a bunch of opening conversations. And again, going to their affiliate page, you see that as an affiliate, you can earn up to 50%. But frankly, the way they structure the program, and this is interesting, is that the 30% is the default commission, right? And again, the numbers here are larger just because it's a digital good, and so they can afford some of these payments. But in this case, the 30% is the default commission. And you start getting incremental actions that can actually up the commission. Do you share your personal contact information, right? That's an additional 5 points, right? Do you actually use their custom links? That's another 5 points. Do you promote your product on their homepage? That's another 5 points. Now, transparency is very interesting on one side, right? It actually gives the ability for the affiliates to actually just understand how to just push it to the next level, right? And gets them engaged. More importantly, though, is that this has opened up a tremendous number of conversations, right? Originally, we thought maybe this would be interesting. You get a lot of information. You get their website. You get contact information, right? And now you know a lot more about who you want to deal with. You see the strength of their website. You see and now can connect with them via email, right? And you pay for a little bit for that. It's okay, right? But what was interesting is as soon as you had this transparent structure in place, you had affiliates come back to VSO. They said, well, actually, if I have like this X, Y, and Z capability, if I brought that to bear, could I get another 5 points, right? It became a structure to start the negotiation with affiliates. And now you know enough about the affiliates to say, who do you actually want to deal with? Who do you actually want to spend a little additional time with, right? And this actually worked out very well in terms of just creating that flow and kickstarting a lot of really interesting affiliate conversations. And frankly, not only is it around starting the affiliate conversations, but it's around re-engaging, right? This is where, let's say you see an affiliate starting to drop in terms of their sales. What they were able to do is not just reach out, and of course, half the time, no one responds, right? Okay, what's going on? If we have this program going on, would you do a little bit more? Nothing, right? It's chirping of silence coming back. What they say is, well, what we're not seeing is promotions on our homepage anymore. Let's go ahead and take 5 points off. And let's go ahead and take 5 points off for, because obviously the contact is not working. They got a lot of immediate reply to drop in commissions. This actually created the ability to really quickly reconnect with their affiliates and ask them what's going on and can we craft something together, especially with their key affiliates. And I thought that was a very interesting approach. Have you guys seen folks doing this type of approach towards engaging with affiliates, sort of incremental points and rewards based upon actions? Yeah, like I said, it's pretty rare, but we've seen it actually work out pretty well. And again, it all depends on your objective. If you want to open up a lot of conversations, this helps, right? Let's look at a second one. This is a little more tried and true. No doubt all of you guys are using this, right? Promotions, Of course, depends a bit on your products, but of course, you're rewarding and incentivizing your top as well as mid-tier affiliates with different tiers of performance. But of course, no conversation about re-engaging is complete unless you talk about, sales contests and campaigns, right? In this case, running sales contests is a tremendous approach that is a tried and true approach towards re-engaging, right? And I know that I was just talking to Alan up front about part of the launch approach in terms of just setting campaigns, right? But in this case, a sales goal. How do you just up it up for a period of time? Prizes, reminders, emails, these are all best practices. Cash prizes are always key, but a choice of prizes, especially for your top affiliates. These guys like the vacations, the cars, whatever, right? Depending on what you can afford, but there's always that choice becomes very interesting as a best practice, and you get better conversion from your affiliates when they think they have more control. But again, it's all about motivating, not just your top affiliates, but setting tiers, right? Especially if your affiliates have a large distance between top affiliates and the next set of affiliates. How do you create incentive packages for each one and set that in your sales goals? Now, of course, campaigns are a key part of this as well. Are you setting maybe a product bundle together with an email campaign and landing pages, right? And again, it's another reason for you to reach out and touch your affiliates, right? Give you a reason to say, hey, look, we've got something special running. This is actually converting very well on these other affiliates. We'd like to run this promotion with you as well. And again, just giving you a way to re-engage. Let's say that you were trying to re-engage with some of your content sites, or you want to create a specific campaign around those with email lists, and you create an email campaign, right? These are easy ways to create a campaign that allows you to have new news to re-engage those affiliates. And again, the campaign's clearly a way to drive affiliate reaction and performance. And just as a quick example, when just pulled out one program out there, Ancestry.com. I think one of the things that is fairly common that we see from performance tiering is that what you really need is getting a set of get beyond sort of the core the great unwashed set of affiliates. You want to get to that first tier where they're really performing and focus all your attention on those guys. And so what we see is very common. The first tier jump to the next tier is a very large one, right? In this case, if you can sell over 100 subscriptions, you will actually bump your bonus by over 40%. And you'll see that actual performance curve actually fall off over time. As the numbers and the volumes become more interesting, the need to continue to bump the bonus actually starts getting less and less as well. So you're down to, I think, like 12% increase as you get from the 55 to the 60,000, or the 25 to the 30,000 level here. But again, this is just fairly common stuff. And again, the campaigns are standard as well, where choices of campaigns, cash as well as prizes being just things that we see having the best conversions with our affiliates. All right? And of course, tried and true as part of these conversations is going to be the exclusive campaigns or the exclusive conditions. I'm sure many of you have tried it before. These things take time, but can significantly increase your collaboration with your affiliates, right? Some of the approaches here, exclusive products and bundles. For those of you who have limited quantities, or maybe there's a season where there's certain flowers of certain types, these are unique products that can be used as rewards to the high performance affiliates. Giving them a special, ask them to actually put you as a special place on their website as part of the trade-off for that exclusive, right? And this works best for content or other PPC-oriented sites. Why? When you do put together an interesting bundle, it's usually the content sites. It's usually these guys who can actually best explain the value of the bundle, right? These are the guys who can actually talk to why this makes sense as a whole and why, as an exclusive set, this is very attractive, which is a little different from some of the other things that you can do here. Now, discounts is a very interesting category, and one that I know back from my consumer packaged goods days, we always had to fight, but is actually now needs to be a staple in all of your quivers of tactics here. Obviously, if you can do an exclusive discount, whether it is on a limited quantity, again, these things that don't often get a discount on them, or maybe even on a subscription, right? A 3-year subscription paid at a certain amount versus just a standard 6-month or 1 year, right? Different ways to cut exclusive discounts. And these have best practices around vanity codes or specific landing pages. Again, you can combine this with the performance incentives to drive the use of these exclusive discounts, because you really want a commitment at this point in time, right? If you're going to say, look, we're going to give you an exclusive discount, we're looking for at least 20% over your baseline, or 1,000 sales, et cetera, right? In this case, this of course works best with coupon sites and drive you as a preferred merchant. And of course, like we were saying before, getting a commitment often is going to be a key towards this engagement. And again, part of this is not just to be a stickler for a commitment, but just to make sure that you're engaging and having a dialogue with your affiliates. Just one example here from the PC world. IOBIT is a PC performance and security player, 50,000 business customers, over 4 million consumers. And what they do is actually drive some very interesting exclusive campaigns. In this case, they actually created with CNET a customized exclusive product, Advanced System Care Pro, on CNET, and was a draw to get CNET engaged, right? To put them onto special pages, to get them to review the product, and again get a commitment to drive that traffic. In addition, Major Geeks, which is more of a download site, they were able to use an exclusive product. Again, what they did was they created a special product just for the Major Geeks side that was more of a freemium-oriented product with some core features that then you'd have to be able to upsell. But again, this was a way for Major Geeks to not only be the official download site for this version of the product, but was able to tap into Major Geeks' very large community to get downloads, and then Major Geek sharing on the upside as people bought into the upsold version, right? And again, just ways to think about how you can use exclusive campaigns. This, very similar to even the first approach, which was creating different marketing activities, actually does still take a lot of time, right? All these take engagement to monitor, to set up the program, et cetera. But now that we're talking about your top 10%, obviously where you want to be. And of course, when we talk about coupon sites, it's worth just taking a little bit of an aside. I bring this up, which is the Kohl's example, just because in 2011 they were actually knocked down to the bottom of the page for their own brand by coupon sites and discount sites, and it just actually shows the importance of actually working, if you're going to promote with discounts and coupons, with the right folks in your industry, those who can drive the SEO around your promotions, right? Because you don't have the energy and the time or the money to be able to compete with these guys, right? And the importance of couponing cannot be underplayed. They're just throwing a couple stats up here. If you looked at Hitwise, I think this is from 2011, up to 2011, we saw that over the last 3 years, you had over a 69% increase of downstream traffic coming from coupon sites. In fact, one stat that hit me from Forrester research that came out this year was that 9 out of the top 10 websites that received traffic from search queries that included not only their brand name, but also the word coupon or code in it, were from affiliate sites. Again, we have gotten into an age where actually consumers are being trained to look for promotions. They're searching for it online. And it's the affiliates who actually really can drive the conversion on those coupons, right? Your own coupons could be getting lost out there depending on which industry you're in. And of course, just one last stat here, that coupon usage already up just in the end of 2011 by 23%, just in that holiday season. Again, coupon sites becoming not only a part of how you can drive acquisition, but frankly, with these coupon sites, what we've seen over the last year or two is a rapid rise in their sophistication, their ability to provide branding and other type of tools for you to not just drive acquisition, but also branding out there for your products. And of course, tools always is part of the conversation. I'm always getting the question, do we invest more in tools? Do we invest more in the product? How do we balance these things off? Well, I mean, that is, again, a much longer conversation. It's very dependent upon your situation. But fundamental to your conversation with your key affiliates is going to be a conversation about customized tools. Again, it's almost like that conversation, it's almost like having the OEM stereo in your car versus getting a third party, kind of click-in, right? If you have someone who's actually created a customized landing page, skyscraper ads that fit that site appeal, right? That feel, you have a much more clean fit, right? It just looks like part of the site, and you get a much better conversion, right? The good thing is that online, you can actually measure, how much doing this level of custom work, giving them tools, giving them the ability to provide a custom shopping cart, and to be able to optimize their shopping cart for their customer flow, right? You can measure how much that's going to be worth, right? And whether that's worth your time. But when you start engaging with your top affiliates, right, these guys who are bringing significant flow, every little percentage can actually drive tremendous revenue. And customized tools will fundamentally become part of the acquisition part, right? Is it around banners? Is it around providing them specific videos or leverage of the videos that you have? Customized landing pages to grow that traffic. Conversion tools, shopping carts we've already talked about, the look and feel of some of the landing pages, again, all leading to that conversion, right? As well as, frankly, providing customized reports. Many folks don't actually have the tool sets yet to provide their affiliates real-time feedback on how different campaigns are working, right? They don't get that conversion number or notifications about what's working and what's not working. And so are you looking or working with certain networks that provide you some of that measurability, right? And it's important to think about some of the conversion rates so that they can adjust their strategies. This helps them and ties them closer to your systems as well for a longer-term relationship. Just broadly speaking, some of the right tools, Argos is an example of someone who just right off the bat has a fairly complete set of tools. But as you think about re-engaging with your affiliates, how do you actually customize some of these tools for them, right? How do you take it to that next level? And finally, engaging and educating. You may have affiliates who knew your product, maybe don't know your latest. How do you actually re-engage them? And this is where Adam Reimer, who is speaking either later today or tomorrow, had a nice post on, which was driving reviews versus using things like giveaways for affiliates to re-engage them, right? In this case, providing free products to review is actually very interesting, right? Can you give them your latest product? These things could be expensive. How do you make it so that your affiliates actually understand, the usage? And this is fairly, basic pieces. But the question is, when you focus, who do you focus upon? In this case, it is those with the audience, obviously, who can actually, with a product and with the ability to give some credibility, some validation, can drive real sales. Right? As people go through their customer journey of discovery, having these type of sites available actually can convert pretty heavily. At the same time, giveaways, right? Giving an affiliate 10 free to give away, right, is actually a very interesting strategy, but something you have to watch out for. It is something that drives traffic to the affiliate site, right? It doesn't necessarily drive sales. In fact, it could actually prevent some of your prospects from buying as they wait to see if they won the giveaway, right? But again, the giveaway is an interesting approach since it does does connect you again back with the affiliate and get them to re-engage with your product. And this is where you are really giving it away to those to drive traffic to their sites and hopefully drive some additional brand and trust and awareness of your products that are out there. And of course, just the review sites are fundamental, where giving them enough information to be able to provide, especially for products that require a little bit more consideration, are just the core basics of how to engage. And of course, I know Catherine from CNET Download.com is always here, so I always have to throw one in her direction. Giveaways here on Panda, obviously using CNET's brand to drive additional awareness and incent them to go ahead and list you, right? Drive some additional awareness for those products. And of course, this also works for all types of goods. You know, samples, freemium, giveaways have been an old approach for many years. You know, there are many sites that focus in on engaging customers with samples, things like exclusivesamples.com being just one example of that. So looking at across the set of tactics we have here, again, I put it back on my 2x2. You know, how much effort does it take versus how much revenue impact would it have? And this is, you know, a little potentially more specific to the industries that I deal with. But again, just one way for you to think about, you know, reactivation. You know, first it always starts with communication, picking up the phone or the IM or email as the case may be. But, you know, if we go from sort of the low level of effort all the way through to high, you're really talking about, you know, first and foremost, leveraging performance incentives. This is your basic, you know, arrow in your quiver. It's very easy to set up tiers and performance and to monitor. And then engaging with giveaways, engaging with free products. These are things that are, again, time-tested methods. But as you talk about new versions, as you talk about re-engaging, just some things to think about of how to get these guys restarted with your products. And of course, I still like the active incentivizing various marketing actions, giving a more structured program, because now affiliates, without engaging you, can very quickly see what they're in for, and then come back with their own terms to give you ideas how best to leverage them, right? And then getting more to exclusive conditions and specific customized tools for those customers. Each one of these requiring a higher level of commitment from you, but also being able to get back a higher level of commitment back from your affiliates. And therefore, just a couple of quick takeaways as we sum up this presentation. Number one is to be proactive. Hopefully you're not in a point where you're actually having to go back and reactivate one of your top 10% of your affiliates, right? These guys should be engaged by proactive use of just many of the same tools that we just went through, right? The other one is creating automatic alerts. You know, I've seen way too many program managers still putting things together on an Excel sheet and trying to measure these things, right? And trying to figure out at the end of the month whether someone's already latent. You need to catch these guys a little earlier. And there's many tools out there, platforms out there to help you manage your affiliate networks, right? And of course, some of these other pieces are core blocking and tackling, and the details are really in what we just talked about. How do you know the communication, and what do you go with forward to them with? What type of programs are you really pushing? What type of incentives? What type of differentiated programs can you put in front of these guys? What kind of differentiated tools to help these guys out? One of the things that is very common across all the folks that we work with and have spoken with is that it's very hard to do this all on your own. Many folks don't have the manpower to carry this off. And so I'd recommend you guys to also think about help from networks and agencies, right? These guys can provide the focus and the attention that your top affiliates need, and can bring some of those best practices to bear. With that, I appreciate your attention, and we'll go ahead and open it up for questions and answers. There is a microphone in the center, and for those who'd like to either ask a question or maybe even share some good ideas that you guys have had in your experience about reactivating affiliates, would love to hear them. I believe we have prizes? No? Yes. So for the first 5 folks who ask questions, we actually have something you can take back to your kids or just keep on your own bed. Hold it up for everyone to see. We have the Avangate teddy bears, which are always a winner with the crowd for the first 5 questions. And I've brought Christian, who heads up our affiliate network, as well as Radu, who's going to jump out on me. Excellent, who actually is the product manager on top of our platform. Any questions out there? Please.
What is a standard payout cycle? What is affiliates like as a standard payout cycle?
So the question for those in video land is that what is the standard payout cycle? And I hate to say it, but and Christian can collaborate. It kind of depends, right? Because it all depends on where the competition has gotten to. In our industries, we've seen it come down from a month to now 2 weeks, and now to multiple times a month. And it all depends on the competition for your category and what terms that people are adding in. And again, Christian? That's right. And so just to reiterate what Christian just said, it all depends also on the type of affiliate. Those affiliates who are doing a lot of the online promotion for you are driving a lot of cash flow, right? And so they need to be paid very often.
Is it standard to give them a sum to start, or is that just the cost of doing business for them? Like they have to jumpstart your campaign, they have to start with the budget, right? Usually, yeah, they have to.
Right. They usually make the investment. They make the initial investment, right? And again, if there's other people who have other industries or broader, feel free to add in. Do we have a question over there?
Yeah. I'm Michael from Native Remedies. We sell holistic supplements. We 6 months ago or so, we tightened up our terms and conditions really on paid search, and we had too many affiliates that were just arbitraging.
Right.
Now, once we tightened up rules, we found that it was better for us in our own search SEM and SEO marketing that we not let people bid on branded terms.
Right.
But we lost a lot of high-performing affiliates. Are those just never going to be reactivated, or what can you do to react? You know what I mean? Is there any way to save some of them? No, but they did a mix of things.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't only living, and the ones that were only doing search, good, goodbye. But the ones that had like a mix of things, and now they're saying, oh, I even talked to something like, well, it's not worth it to me anymore.
Right. No, and this comes up. In fact, we've had. Let me repeat the question, and then we'll come back to answer, because actually we think we have some folks in the room who actually could bring some interesting perspective as well. If folks like Gino would be interested in responding, clearly an expert in the room. But the question was, if we tighten up the terms and conditions such that things like keyword bidding are more restricted and not competing with the core company itself, they've lost some of their top performing affiliates. And are there strategies to bring some of these guys back, right? And right, so that is an interesting question. Let me just bring up one other point. We've actually seen even more happen, which is when we've helped tighten up the restrictions, we've actually had affiliates actually say the product they were just promoting is no longer available, and that the new product they're promoting is the new product, and just trying to shift their audience as quickly as possible. Again, you have to monitor for these things, and a lot of downside can happen, but it is ultimately the right thing to do, which is to tighten up those terms as you grow up your own online marketing pieces. Christian, you want to put a comment in on that? In fact, so the response was, can you sub-select some of the products and let them actually bid on some of those words, especially if they're some of your top affiliates? I would actually take a twist on that, which is if you have specialty affiliates who are really good at a particular area, and I'm thinking of Silicon Action out in Brazil, what you have is you have some affiliates who are just excellent at specific niches. And so what we've seen us do is actually allow for certain PPC words with extensions or specific niche areas that affiliate is allowed to be able to drive PPC around, right? And so in this case with the Silicon Action, anything that has the Brazilian extensions and specific word choices in Brazil would actually be driven through the affiliate. And that way it's just very specific subsegments of what they're allowed to do. And of course, if you can make the rest of your program more attractive, finding out what they really want, that's obviously a strategy as well. Gino, did you have any thoughts you wanted to add?
Well, I kind of had a counter question when they say that it's no longer worth it. Was it in the first place worth it for you when they were doing it?
So the counter question was, if they when they turned off their ability to PPC, what was the original value to the affiliate?
What we found is that there was two buckets of affiliates
That's right. That's right. I mean, so just to summarize for those in video land, sorry for the large gap in sound. The question came back to, and I apologize to everyone who has to rehear the question here in the room. The question was really, how do you re-engage these guys, especially if they weren't 100% doing, things that are outside of your new terms and conditions. And again, it gets back to what Gino was saying, which is there a way to sub-segment these guys? Find the set of them which actually had content. Is it some special program you put together? Maybe you can lower the bar for them and create a special incentive for them for a period of time to gain some speed. And again, I think that it unfortunately depends a little bit on how to craft a specific program. All right?
It also may make sense to loosen your restrictions. And I mean, if they are driving incremental value for your business, then
I don't think that for us, it's not an option. It was such to get to. We found so much more abuse than we thought we had.
Yeah.
Really, no. I don't want the ones creeping back in.
no, on a case-by-case basis. If there are affiliates that drive incremental value for your program, then you may want to, in your terms and conditions, somehow find a balance where you can.
And so one idea from the audience is, whether it's a case-by-case basis or to loosen terms and conditions on specific subsets, like Christian was saying, of the product. And I think there's one last question in the back.
I just have a suggestion also. Offer up a list of keywords that they can use.
Right.
They can do it, and also possibly offer them some content. Affiliates want something of value. So
Right.
if you provide them something of value, all of a sudden they may reactivate. You're giving them free content. You're giving them keywords that they can do. Then all of a sudden they'll take a look at the program and they'll go, okay, this is what we can do.
And that's like part of the core tools that we had talked about, which was, are you giving them keyword lists? Are you giving them content that they can leverage? Especially with the Google changes, they need to become much more authoritative, right, to be able to drive that traffic they originally had anyway. So always good ideas. And frankly, can you sub-segment for some of your top affiliates? That's actually an open question you can measure yourselves. Any last questions? I think we're running at the end of our time. One more question?
Real quick, regarding that VSO example,
Yeah.
how long has that been in effect, and have the results been quantifiable as far as seeing the growth, what percentage of growth you've seen with that program specifically?
Right. So the program's been in place for almost 2+ years, a little bit, and it was one that was right for the time. Again, you have to think about what your objective was. And we're talking about the VSO program. Sorry for those who didn't hear the question. How long was the VSO program in place, and how effective was it, and was it quantifiable? And so a couple things. One, 2.5 years plus. It was quantifiable in the fact that they actually were able to drive adoption of a lot of new affiliates and get into negotiations that they actually didn't think they'd be able to get into. And so it was a lift over their own expectations of fairly experienced affiliate managers. And so when you talk about the growth of their program, and it's a very active program, it was actually something very positive for them. Now, they're at a point in time where it's maybe time for them to shift up to a different program because they have the folks they want to use. They want to shift to some other types of programs. But it doesn't mean that it's not a potentially effective program for any of you to bring into your industries. All right, with that, I think we're out of time. Myself, Christian, you can find us either afterwards or come by booth 115 at the meat market. We have more teddy bears, and frankly, drop a card and win an iPad. Okay? Thank you for your time, and appreciate your attention.